Okay, we're going to look at some long division of polynomials. The whole point of this process is so that we can break down an otherwise large polynomial, and that's going to help us when we start solving these and factoring them. It's much quicker than guessing and checking and trying to figure out all of the factors that it takes to form the large polynomial. So we'll start out with this top one here. We've got x cubed minus 4x squared plus 2x minus 3, and that's being divided by x plus 2. What you're wanting to look for when you start this process is what do you need to multiply this first term by in order to get the first term that's listed here. So what we would have to multiply by x in order to get x cubed would be x squared. And once you know that, then you're basically going to distribute this x squared to the x and to the 2. So you distribute x squared to x, you end up with x cubed, and then x squared times 2 would be a positive 2x squared. Now, these first terms should always match up, because what we're going to do next is subtract that, and those should cancel each other out. So we eliminate the term that's farthest to the left every time we do this. So those will zero out, and then negative 4 minus 2 would be negative 6x squared. And then you go ahead and bring down your next term. So now we're looking at negative 6x squared plus 2x. So now we go back to our x here. What would we have to multiply by x in order to get negative 6x squared? And that would be a negative 6x. And then you just repeat the process. So let's multiply those. And then negative 6x times 2 would be a negative 12x. And again, we are subtracting. The reason why I keep putting these in parentheses is so you don't forget to subtract each term that's inside the parentheses, and also just to kind of make sure you don't overlook the subtracting a negative, which would be the same thing as adding. So negative 6 minus a negative 6, that would be 0, and then 2 minus a negative 12 would be like 2 plus 12, so we get 14x. And then bring down your next term, which would be the negative 3. And then we would have to multiply x by 14 in order to get 14x. So x times 14x, and then 14 times 2. And subtract. These would cancel out. Negative 3 minus 28 would be negative 31. So I'm going to write this up here as my remainder. So the answer would be x squared minus 6x plus 14 minus 31. All right, we'll go ahead and go to the next one. We have a 7x squared plus x minus 8 being divided by x plus 1. So we're going to start again with what would you have to multiply x by in order to get 7x squared? And that would be a 7x. So you write that up top. And then multiply. So 7x times x would be 7x squared. 7x times 1, positive 7x. And then subtract. Those would zero out. X minus 7x would be a negative 6x. And then bring down our negative 8. And then I would have to multiply x by a negative 6 in order to get that. So I would put that up there. And then negative 6 times 1. This is where you really want to watch those negatives when you subtract negatives and it's like adding. So these would cancel out. Then you have negative 8 minus a negative 6. So it's basically negative 8 plus 6, which would be a positive 2. And your remainder would be 2. You know you're done when you get down here and you have nothing but a constant left. You have no variables left. When you have just a constant, after you've done your subtraction, then that is your remainder. And that's how you know you're done. Your remainder could be positive, negative, or it can be 0. And one more. So here we have a coefficient on our dividend that is different. It's not a 1. So we treat it just the same. We have to look at what would we have to multiply 2x by in order to make it 2x cubed. So we would have to multiply 2x by an x squared. So that's what's going to be up here. And notice that whatever exponent, whatever power we've started with on our others, our answer is 1 power less. So we started with a cubic here, we ended up with a quadratic. We start with a quadratic, we end up with a linear. So our exponents are decreasing here. And that's kind of the whole point of doing the division process, is that it's making that polynomial a lesser degree. And hopefully once you get down to a quadratic or a linear, you can break it down into its prime factorizations, which is what we'll be heading into. So anyway, x squared times 2x, 2x cubed, x squared times 3, positive 3x squared. And we're going to subtract 7x squared minus 3x, be 4x squared. Bring that 2x down. Good job, babe. And then I need to multiply 2x by a 2x in order to get 4x squared. And then multiply those two, get 4x squared. 2x times 3, be a positive 6x. And then subtract 2 minus 6x. I'm just overlooking this just because I know that I have made this problem to where these are going to cancel out every time. So I'm not even looking at that. I'm just focusing on the next terms. 2x minus 6x would be a negative 4x. Bring down the 9. I'd have to multiply 2x by a negative 2 in order to make it negative 4x. Negative 2 times 3, negative 6. 9 minus a negative 6 would be like 9 plus 6. So there you've got your remainder is 15.